of many nations. And he knew that in order to be the father of many nations, that and this lineage was going to come through Isaac. Isaac have to be alive. Let me tell you something. A lot of times the reason that people don't make the sacrifices that God requires them to make is because they can't see on the other side of the sacrifice. Sometimes God would have you to make a sacrifice that seems to work against everything he's trying to do in your life. But how many know you can't figure God out? Think about this. Here's Abraham, told by God to literally abort his entire future. But he had a promise that he was going to be the father of many nations. So watch what the Bible says. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, I'm in verse 6, and laid it upon Isaac his son. Now notice, Isaac is he's not a kid. Isaac is probably in his late teens or early 20s. So he does it willingly. Didn't Jesus say, no man take my life, but I lay it down, and I got power to pick it up again. Watch. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. Verse 7. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father. You can imagine what he's thinking. I see the altar. I see the knife. I see the wood. But where's the lamb? And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, my father, and he said, here am I, my son. And he said, watch, behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? He's saying, God, he's saying, Father, where is the sacrifice? Watch what Abraham says prophetically. And Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. What he's saying is, he's speaking prophetically. He's saying that God himself is going to be the lamb that will take away the sins of the world. He's saying Jesus, as God Emmanuel with us, is going to be the lamb. That's in future tense. But in present tense, he's saying God is going to provide a lamb for me to slay. But watch the story. So they went both of them together. And verse 9, they came to the place which God had told them of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order. Watch. And bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar of the wood. Here's Abraham getting ready to go all the way. How many know you got to go all the way? And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here am I. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. Here, this is a very interesting story because of a number of things. First of all, Abraham had the faith to offer up his future, to abort the future that God had promised them he would have. Somebody might say, why would God take Abraham to such a place of faith? I'm going to tell you why. The greater the sacrifice, the greater the blessing. The only way Abraham could have been the father of the faith. You know, whenever the Jews talk about the faith, they talk about the God of Abraham.